my independent and compassionate Aquarius friend. Hello and welcome. My name is Mina, and I'm here to offer you a 3-card reading exploring the themes of you, your path, and your potential. I invite you to consider what the reading reveals about possible challenges, opportunities, and personal growth for the week ahead. Take a deep breath, rest your mind, and let's see what the cards have to share with you today. Aquarius, you're no stranger to the quiet press of anticipation beneath your ribs. This week, it's as though you're carrying a weight others can't see, a blend of accumulated weariness and the faintest note of hope. Maybe you sense a pressure to hold your ground, to keep pushing forward even as your energy feels thin. There's an ache for renewal, but also a prickly awareness of how far you've already come. You might notice a subtle reluctance to let down your guard, even when your heart aches for softness. The air is thick with the sense of what's unfinished. Something in you wants to be recognized for the effort, for the quiet resilience you've mustered. Yet there's a certain loneliness in this stance. Your mind drifts to what's still required, what hasn't been said, what hasn't quite healed. In the hush between obligations, you might catch yourself longing for a gentler pace, for reassurance that none of this has been in vain. The tension is real. You want to keep going, but you're so aware of the cost. The 9 of Wands finds you here, not as a definition, but as an echo of your lived experience. It's that sense of standing just past the hardest part, but still feeling the weight of all the times you nearly gave up. You have endured enough to know the shape of your own limits, and perhaps you're wary of being tested again. There's a guardedness to your energy, a sense of bracing for that next challenge even as you hope it might finally be different. You may feel hyper-aware of old wounds, both physical and emotional, that seem to flare up when you least expect them. There's a quiet pride in the way you keep showing up, even when it's difficult to trust that it matters. Your boundaries, those invisible lines you draw, have grown thicker in some places, thinner in others. You might find yourself oscillating between defiance and fatigue, wanting to prove your resilience yet secretly yearning for rest. Emotional memory is powerful. Each time you sense a familiar pattern, you tense, ready to defend what you've reclaimed. But there's also a flicker of tenderness. In moments when you're alone, you catch yourself remembering why you began, what you hoped for before the struggle became the story. It's not just about surviving. It's about wanting the fight to mean something, to lead you somewhere softer. You notice how easily your thoughts return to old disappointments, as if rehearsing them could somehow keep you safer. Yet underneath it all, there's a stubborn hope that this time your determination will yield not just endurance but relief. You sense that what you need most is not more strength, but a reason to believe that perseverance and healing can exist together. This is the landscape of your inner world now, guarded, yes, but not without longing. It's from this place of careful vigilance that your path begins to shift. The pressures you feel, from within and without, gather momentum, seeking an outlet. The desire to move forward, to break free from the cycle of bracing and defending, grows undeniable. It's almost as if your spirit is nudging you to test your own boundaries, to see what happens if you move with purpose rather than just holding the line. The tension you carry becomes a kind of fuel. You realize that remaining in a posture of defense is its own form of exhaustion. Something inside you stirs, calling you to act, not rashly but with clear intention. The path ahead is shaped by this inner restlessness, this urge to see what you're capable of when you trust yourself to move, rather than merely hold back. The chariot arrives in your story as a symbol of this gathering drive. Life is offering you not a smooth road, but a sense of direction. You may feel the pressure to take charge, to assert your will even when uncertainty lingers. The world around you seems to demand movement, decisions, momentum. Perhaps you notice deadlines looming, conversations that can't be postponed, or a sense that circumstances are converging and asking for your participation. The friction this week is real. You're being pulled by competing needs, your desire for safety and your hunger for progress. The air crackles with urgency, and choices seem to multiply with every step you take. There's a magnetic quality to the energy around you, as if you're being drawn towards something bigger than your current circumstance. But there's also resistance, a sense that you must steer carefully lest the momentum carry you somewhere you didn't intend. You feel compelled to harness your resources, to gather your scattered focus and pull in a single direction. This requires not just force of will, but a kind of inner alignment, knowing what matters and letting that knowledge shape your actions. The world seems impatient, but your progress is measured by your willingness to stay attuned to your own priorities. You sense that the real challenge is not speed, but coherence. The more you try to force an outcome, the more friction you encounter. Yet when you move from a place of clarity, the path, though not effortless, becomes navigable. The chariot's influence is felt in every choice you make, every moment you decide to participate rather than retreat. You notice the difference between acting from fear and acting from a genuine sense of possibility. The momentum is yours to shape, but it responds best when you are honest with yourself about what you truly want. This week, events may move quickly, but your sense of agency is what gives them meaning. Each decision becomes an opportunity to claim your own direction, despite the noise and the pressure. The road is uncertain, but the act of choosing becomes its own reward. Yet none of this unfolds in a vacuum. The potential of your week depends on how fully you meet each moment, not just with action, but with presence. The momentum you generate carries you forward, but it's your willingness to reflect, to pause and examine your motivations that shapes what's possible. If you simply push through, the week may blur into a series of tasks and defenses. But if you stay awake to your own experience, something more subtle comes into view. The friction you encounter can become a source of insight. The choices you face invite you to consider not just where you're going, but why you set out in the first place. The possibility for growth is real, but it asks for your conscious engagement every step of the way. At the horizon of this journey, the Six of Cups arrives as an invitation rather than a promise. This is not about returning to the past, but about reclaiming something gentle within yourself. Growth in this context looks like rediscovering what once gave you joy or peace and allowing it to be part of your present. There's a softening that becomes possible when you recognize how far you've come, not just in terms of survival, but in your capacity to remember the sweetness you once knew. The potential here is subtle. It asks you to notice the moments when nostalgia arises, not to linger in longing, but to let those memories remind you of your own wholeness. You may catch glimpses of your younger self, hopeful, open, unguarded, and realize that some part of that spirit still lives within you. The invitation is to welcome small pleasures, to let yourself be moved by kindness, to rediscover delight in ordinary things. When you allow yourself this openness, even briefly, you create a space where healing can happen quietly. There's no guarantee that every wound will vanish, but there is a real possibility that you will feel more at home in your own skin. The Six of Cups reminds you that the past is not just a source of pain or regret, but also a wellspring of resilience and simple happiness. When you meet the week's challenges with this perspective, your efforts become infused with meaning. You remember what you're fighting for. You make space for tenderness alongside determination. All three cards weave together into a story that is uniquely yours. The Nine of Wands names the honest exhaustion and guarded strength you bring into the week. The Chariot signals the moment when that inner tension becomes fuel for movement, when you realize you don't have to stay stuck in defense, but can choose purposeful action. The Six of Cups offers the possibility that, by moving forward with intention, you might rediscover a softer, more joyful part of yourself. The journey is not linear. There are moments of doubt, times when old hurts seem to define what's possible. Yet there is also a quiet transformation at work. As you honor the struggles you've survived, you become more willing to trust your own agency. As you move through the week, the pressures and choices you face become opportunities, not just to accomplish, but to reconnect with lost or neglected parts of yourself. Growth comes not as a grand breakthrough, but as a series of gentle recognitions. You see where you've been, where you are, and where you might go, not with certainty, but with a growing willingness to live each moment fully. The week closes with a sense of integration. You are both the survivor and the seeker, the one who remembers and the one who chooses again. In this, there is reassurance. You are not defined by your exhaustion, nor limited by old stories. The present is shaped by your willingness to meet it, with courage, with clarity, and with a measure of kindness for yourself. This is how tension gives way to change. This is how you find yourself again and again on the other side of difficulty, whole and quietly renewed. Actionable insights for Aquarius this week. There's a gentle steadiness to this week's emotional landscape, as if each day asks you to carry what matters with care. You might try pausing for a moment when old doubts resurface, just to notice how your body responds. You could let yourself enjoy something simple that once made you smile, even if only for a few minutes. You might gently test how it feels to move forward, just one small step at a time. Spoken word affirmations to repeat aloud for a more positive mindset. I am still standing, even when my heart is tired. Each day I find new reasons to trust myself. I remember softness even in the midst of effort. My own presence is enough. My path is mine. And now, dear friend, I thank you for giving me your time. I truly hope I have given you something helpful in return. Goodbye and good luck until next time.